A very good morning to all. Myself, Arohi Gupta. I'm a neonatology resident at SGPGI, Lucknow. And today I'll be discussing on how to make a poster. The specific learning objectives are what is the purpose of a poster, how to make an effective poster, how to present a poster with the take-home messages. The purpose of an academic poster. A poster is an form of academic expression with visual representation of an abstract or a research in 5 to 10 minutes duration. It should be visually augmented discussion and interaction, which displays the information in a clear and concise manner. A good poster must be able to engage the audience, and the content may vary in accordance with the field. It also gives us teaching and learning opportunities. Knowing the audience is very important, as the researchers in every field will read, even if it is not good, and the people of related fields also might be easily persuaded to view your poster, and you actually want to attract those people to present your work. Previously uninterested passers-by can also be attracted if your poster is really good, and don't vary the content, but vary the explanation according to the audience. So if the people are of unrelated fields, we need to explain more of introduction to them to give a basic idea. As said by Paul Arden, the more strikingly visual your presentation is, the more people will remember it. And more importantly, they will remember you after the presentation. So hence, following this, we can discuss the contents of a poster. The poster is normally it is about 36 to 48 inches of size, that is 1 by 1 meters approximately, but varies as per the conference rules. And the introduction part can have the image of an existing model that we are going to discuss. The methods can be in the form of a flow chart, results in the form of figures or graphical presentations. Discussions should be bulleted preferably to give a better view. And the poster should be visually appealing to the audience with an obvious flow. And the background should be neutral or unobstructive, like white, light gray, or light beige. So make a rough plan of your poster beforehand with standard headings. The poster should provide visual aids as you talk. And a picture is worth 1,000 words. So it is better to use around 40% of graphicals, 20% of text, and rest should be the negative spacing. So carry the information with colorful images and figures, and decide beforehand how many figures are needed, how much text to be explained, and then we must balance the text and images in an adequate way. So a poster should be a standalone in itself. It should be understandable in the halls, unstaffed. So in a nutshell, what I mean to say is that our poster must grab the attention of the audience, which is very important. For the layout of a poster, we can use vertical symmetry, horizontal symmetry. We can organize our text into various sections in 3 to 5 columns so that it is easy to read for the audience and to get a clear picture of what we need to discuss with them. Positive and negative spacing is also very important, as the balance is important between negative spacing, that is the background, and the positive spacing. Too much of negative spacing will lead to incomplete or dissociated appearance of our poster, and too less of a negative spacing will lead to cluttered or difficulty to read. So too much information in less space is also the most commonly made mistake, which decreases the impact of your poster and does not give a clear picture of what you need to portray. Alignment is also important, as arranging the elements so that they line up. Like the image which I have presented, it has a serious alignment issue. Alignment is important to create an order, to organize the page elements. It unifies the disparate groups, and there's a human desire to link up things. Hence, it creates imaginary visual connections. So like this picture is looking very haphazard. There's no alignment in the different sections. Letter size should be as large as possible. So it should be readable from at least 6 to 8 feet of distance. And the minimum type can be approximately 72 points for the title, 48 points for the headings, 24 points for the body text, and larger is always the better. Among choosing the background for your poster, the background should be very light colored or preferably of no color with no images in the background, and it should not distract us so that the text is highlighted. Is it a good poster? Like in the present image, the background is little dark and the headings and the text is not getting highlighted well. So we don't need to make a poster in which we are unable to highlight the text we want to present. And the background should be as neutral as possible. Among the heading should stand out. So it can be on a dark color with a contrasting font color, and use different size or the font type to highlight the heading. Headings should be larger than your other text in the main body, and with negative spacing around all the sections. Color combinations are also very important, and we must use mostly 2 to 3 colors, and we can use different shades of the same color combination also. You can use the darker and the lighter tone of the same color instead of using multiple colors, which makes it look too fancy and distracting. There are warm colors, there are cool colors. Warm colors are those colors which range from like red through yellow, including browns. They evoke happiness, energy, and optimism, but at the same time, they can be too overwhelming and they can wear away the reader's eyes. While the cool colors are like blue, green through blue, violet, including the grays, they are calming and soothing, and they appear to recede in the background. So they can also express sadness, but still it is better to use the cool colors, which are not too much bright. And color can also be used as an organizational tool. For example, you have to club certain sections together. You can use the same color for the similar elements, and you can use it for an organization of your poster. This image shows the use of multiple colors, which are very bright neon colors. So this has to be avoided during poster presentation, as the color plays an extremely powerful role, and using too many colors will drastically reduce the effectiveness of poster presentation. And normally a limit of 3 colors is usually recommended, using similar color combinations as we had earlier discussed. In graphical representations, the chart should be clear. The colors should be such which are easily readable. They should not be too much cluttered, and the background shouldn't be too dark as shown in the image. Similarly goes for the tables, that the table should be neat, easily readable, and the fonts should be legible with not too much of dark backgrounds. The components of a poster consist of a title, which should be same as submitted abstract, and which gives an initial impression of your poster. It should be attractive, not too long, and followed by the author name and affiliations, the institute details, the abstract, which gives an overview of your research work, the introduction part, the objectives, aims, results, methodologies, discussion, followed by the conclusion, and acknowledgement with references. So visuals play an important part in your poster. Fonts should be legible fonts, not too much fancy, which are difficult to read. And it is always preferable to use the same font type throughout the poster instead of using too many different fonts. First thing first, that is the title and the abstract. The title of your abstract is very important, and it reflects the content of the paper. The abstract should be specific, concise, and we can use keywords for indexing and for searches. The word limit should be as per the specifications, and it should always include the research question or the problem, the methods, the observations, and the major findings, results, and the conclusions. The introduction part states the research question and the significance of our study. It includes the related current investigations, and if you are there, then they won't read it. So say it, that this is the introduction, why I have done this particular project. And we need to get the viewers interested in our work. So why we chose the study, and it can be equivalent to one double-spaced 12-point page. Usually it should contain the citations and references, and it can have the purpose and hypothesis embedded. This is followed by the purpose and the objectives. So the objectives can be embedded in the introduction part, but mostly it is kept as a separate section to emphasize. And it is our purpose, aim, or goal of the study, and why we did the particular experiment. In the methodology, we need to describe the procedures and methods in detail, allow the observer to understand how, when, and where the data was obtained. It can include a flowchart to summarize, and we must make sure to include the subjects, the experimental design, drugs and equipments used, statistical methods, and why we chose the particular method. Results are the largest section, and it summarizes the data and results of statistical test and analysis. It is to draw the implications and the considerations. It should be made more of image-based using fewer words, and we must maximize the use of figures, make them simple, and make them easily seen and readable. The discussion part and the conclusion should have very few words. Mostly it should be bulleted, and it is to summarize the take-home results, to interpret the meaning or implications of our results, and we must mention any alternative explanation also for the results which are unanticipated. And how did the hypothesis work out, and then tie back to real world problem. That is, can we correlate the results to the real world problem? And reasonable conclusions should be given and strongly supported with the evidence. This is followed by the references. We must always include the references from where we had taken the data and material. So it includes the sources and resources that supported our work. If someone's work is cited, then we must include in our references. And generally it is short and can use a smaller font if needed. Acknowledgement part is to acknowledge the faculty and the staff which has supported us, and to thank our mentor, our research group, technical assistants, and reveal the possible conflicts of interest, identify the funding which has been utilized, and the font for acknowledgement can be smaller than rest of the text. There must always be a flow of things. That is, start with the introduction that will catch them. No pointing if we do not have any figure. And then swiftly we must move to the methods and briefly summarize the methodology, moving on to the results, which is the longest section. And walking through all the figures is important. You don't need to miss anything out of it. And then transitioning to the conclusions part to give a complete conclusion. What was the research and what did it actually give us? And then this must be followed by the acknowledgement part, which is optional. So how to make an effective poster? The characteristic sections with expected information should be there. Nothing which is not required, it should not be there. We must cut down on excessive text. And the poster should be in accordance with the rules of a conference. So whatever specifications they provided us, it should be in accordance with those specifications. Poster should definitely be visually appealing so that the audience comes to you and takes interest in your work. It should be primarily image driven, simply and tightly written. That is, the information should be very crisp and concise. So we must already know that what we need to say for each figure. It should be already rehearsed and practiced before you are presenting to the audience. And the complete details of our project should be known. There should be nothing that we are not self-confident. So among these two posters, which one would we prefer? So these are two examples. The poster to the right side, this poster definitely seems to be better than the left one, because there's not too much of information. It is readable, it has figures, background is also light, texts are highlighted. On the other hand, the second poster has too much of information in it. So it is very difficult to make out what to highlight, what to read, and what all has actually been done. So the poster should not be with too much of information, which is difficult to read by the audience and to understand as well. The best design practices. So we must use a simple, light, neutral colored background, which provides enough contrast with the text. Choose one bold accent color and use it sparingly to help your poster stand out. We must stick to simple and easy to read fonts like Arial, Helvetica, Times New Roman, and Calibri can be used. Distinguish the headings and subheadings from rest of the text with different fonts or sizes. Use larger font sizes that can be read from a distance of at least 1 meter, and leave enough clear space in the borders between the sections and between the lines. We must use grid lines to help us align our sections, columns, text, and figures, and also use your layout to create a flow so that it helps the audience to move logically from one section to the next. Preparing before presentation is always important. So we must finish enough early to practice, and we must practice again and again before presenting. We must know what to say for each figure, what to point at for each figure, and running through the entire poster is important, so that we must practice so that we can do it within the stipulated time. And we must not sound as if we have just memorized. We should present with interest, and we must remember to refer to our poster also. They may interrupt with the questions, which we need to take very positively, and we must answer to best of our ability. And knowing what questions can be asked is also definitely useful, so that you can prepare the answers beforehand. So presenting a poster, we must reach on time on the day of poster presentation, which is very important. Dressing well means it should be a well-dressed way. It should not be too casual. And we must stand on the left side and take an initiative to present our work. If the audience is coming closer to us, we must greet them with a smile or a nod. And we must ask them if they'd like to like us to walk them through our poster. Some of the people might like to read it silently, and some might like you to present. So we should ask them, and we should ask if they are familiar with our field of research. This is important because it's not what we know we have to present, it's about what the audience knows and how we have to make our work understandable to them. So if they are not so much familiar with our field of research, then we need to tell more of introduction initially, and we should be careful with the acronyms. And if they are from our field, then we can definitely go more quickly through the introduction part. Engaging our audience is important, because we must have a clear presentation, a positive body language, a genuine conversation. And we must stand on one side of a poster and avoid blocking the audience from viewing your poster or others' posters as well. So we don't need to block in our or the others' posters. So smile and make eye contact with the audience. Eye contact making is very important. It gives a sense of confidence. And we must ask our audience if they would like you to present your poster to them. As you are presenting, use your hands to point to the relevant parts of the poster. And then we must ask if the audience has any questions as well, and answer the questions to the best of our abilities. And take the opportunity to network with your current audience. This is the best time to make contacts and to discuss with others also, the people who have come to present their posters, what work they are doing and how it can help us in future. So the checklist comprises of cutting down excessive text. Not too much of information is required. We must use pictures, graphs, flowcharts instead of words only, with 40% of negative spacing. Choosing the right colors is very important. And the font should be visible at least 2 to 4 feet away, with enough spacing around the sections. So the take-home messages are that practicing is very important. Practicing repeatedly before the presentation, following the conference specifications regarding the poster making, using proper color combinations and legible fonts is very important. Using figures and graphical representations to make your poster visually appealing, with adequate spacing, adequate alignment, and presenting with confidence within the stipulated time. And this is also an opportunity to make contacts with the audience and others. These were the references for my text. Thank you so much.